Welcome to the Rundown. Let's chase down the headlines. I'm on the street catching the latest buzz. Now, let's rank them. Who's owning the week? Tune in every Sunday to get your weekly rundown in 10 minutes flat.
Hey judges, it's Shania. Welcome back to the Rundown, where I rank the top 5 most polarizing political topics shaping the conversation each week. And judges, can you believe it? We are now on episode 8 and I'm still here breaking things down like only I can, with the tracking week for this episode starting on April 12th and running through April 18th. Okay, if you're new here, quick beat on how this works. I track the biggest political moments across the media landscape, then rank the top 5 based on impact, reaction, and the amount of noise they are generating. But before I get started, I have a humble request. Please hit the subscribe button and like this video. Okay, let's get back to the scheduled program, this rundown. Because judges, this week felt like a roller coaster. Very much so, peak highs, and there were coasting moments too. So there was the Todd Lyons news as he is stepping down from his role as acting ICE director at the end of May, and then there was talk circling regarding the whole war power resolution again. And the highs of it all, well judges, that's why we are here. Because politics still did its thing. So with that being said, let's do this. It's time for the rundown. Okay, coming in at number 5, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, RFK Jr. is making his debut on the rundown, and I'm sure he would rather not be on the list. Let me bring you up to speed on this one. See, he was on Capitol Hill during the tracking week for what was supposed to be a budget hearing, but the committee took the opportunity to bring up other alarming things he has done since becoming the Secretary of Health and Human Services, as they were calling him out for his MAHA movement, which has fallen flat and adversely affected communities, especially with his views surrounding vaccines. Given that under his leadership, measles have spent the block and resulted in several clustered outbreaks. Now, this is something that was all but eradicated decades ago, so for it to emerge again in this way has concerned many. But the exchange he had with Representative Terry Soule is what had everyone talking, as she pressed him on his comments related to Black kids, ADHD, and something he framed as reparenting. Because after she brought up the reparenting narrative, RFK Jr. was noticeably irritated, some might say fidgety even. Then as a defense mechanism, he accused her of lying and said he needed to see the tape. And the twist to all of this is the CDC is getting a new director, Dr. Erica Schwartz, who should bring about a shakeup in this healthcare space because it is being rumored that he views our polar opposite from Secretary RFK Jr. So judges, this is one that we have to continue to keep our eye on. Like health and human services affects us all, so no sleeping on the watch. Okay, now we take a look at number 4, Pete Hegseth. Now judges, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, war, is no stranger to the rundown. As on several occasions, his behavioral patterns have become increasingly alarming, as some are even calling for his impeachment and/or resignation. The latest of which is a prayer that he delivered during what seems to be a weekly meetup between him and the CENTCOM commander, given an update on this conflict going on with Iran. Now judges, when it comes to this prayer, he decided it was best to use a remixed version of a prayer that he took from the movie Pulp Fiction. Because while on the surface, it might seem as though he is promoting Jesus as Lord, many Christians feel as though he is somehow twisting the Bible, which gives people heartburn. Because one part of America's dark history has to do with them using the Bible to justify that atrocity. So his behavior already was giving people the icks, but this remixed Pulp Fiction prayer just sent the media in overdrive, which is why he is number 4 for this episode of The Rundown. And now we move on to number 3, Pope Leo and President Trump. So Donald Trump is no stranger to this list, but him being paired next to Pope Leo, now that is surprising. So let me run through this situation in case you might not be up to speed on everything. All right, it seems that these two are at odds with each other over biblical doctrine and this conflict with Iran. And the scope of this thing as far as Trump goes honestly extends to his entire admin, from Vance to Pete Hegseth. Almost all the talking points is linking Christianity to this conflict. Now Pope Leo, his messages is centered around love and Jesus, and he is outwardly condemning this war effort. However, according to Trump logic, he believes everyone should be in support of this conflict, because if not for him, Iran was about to nuke the entire world. Which leads me to the images Trump has been promoting on his Truth Social platform, which many have cited as being blasphemous in nature. As these images depict him as Jesus, which Trump later spoke out claiming it was not his intent and that the images were supposed to show him as a doctor of some sort. So yeah, all of this drama circling around the name of our Lord is disturbing. I just want everyone to get it together because enough is enough. And not to get preachy, but God is not one of confusion. So whatever this is, it needs to be resolved because it is not of God and the world is watching. Okay, judges, we have reached the top 2. Time for the pulse check intermission. Listen, if you are still with me, drop in the comments and leave a blue heart. And don't forget to drop your like, it helps with the algorithm. All right, now that that is out the way, let's talk about who takes the runner-up spot for this tracking week. So after 3 consecutive weeks at number 1, falling to number 2 is the US-Iran conflict. Okay, I'm only running down what happened during the tracking week, but if you want to catch up on the backstory, please hit my playlist, The Rundown. It will bring you up to speed. First thing first, after over a month since this conflict kicked off, this situation is still very much a clusterfugula of a mess. Then there is the fact that Vance and his cohorts left Pakistan without a deal, but the ceasefire is still intact even though that is a day-by-day situation. And then there is this conversation around the uranium within Iran, that the US is saying they are going to help Iran remove. And Iran is saying that the uranium in question is a part of the fabric of their culture. And it's a no-go on that one. And the breaking news of it all is that during this so-called ceasefire, Iran gunboats fired on at least one tanker trying to transit the straits. So it seems that Iran is playing the idea of keeping the straits open to safe passage by ear. So between the blockade, the uranium, and the fact that this is still ongoing, this is why the US-Iran conflict remains in the top 2 since its debut on the Rundown. Okay, judges, now it is time to crown who or what do you think takes the top spot? All right, if you picked the Capitol Hill shakeup with both Swalwell and Gonzales being out of Congress, you guessed right. So before we get into this, I have to do a shameless plug because me and my holding court panel went in on this one, so please go check that out on the holding court playlist. Okay, starting with Swalwell, his situation is interesting because it felt like this turned badly within the blink of an eye. So the timeline, as I understand it, went from denial to dropping out the California governor's race to the final nail in the coffin with announcing resignation from Congress. With the rumors being that Swalwell received a phone call from Nancy Pelosi, basically informing him that he would lose the support of the party and that he should go ahead and step down. And what's worse is that he was the Democrat frontrunner for the governor's race in California, which the state is less than 8 weeks away from primary voting. Then we have to touch on Gonzales, because his situation has been lingering around Capitol Hill for months, but there was no calls for him to step aside in the way we saw with Swalwell. Also, there was a balance of power conversation surrounding this whole thing too, which kind of overshadowed the allegations surrounding both men, and the conversation just became about that aspect of things. But all of this kicked off the tracking week, and it held the media space through its duration, which is why it takes the crown for Season 1, Episode 8 of The Rundown. Okay, judges, that wraps up this episode, and now it's your turn. Do you agree with my top 5, or did something else catch your eye? Drop in the comments and let me know your thoughts. And before I get out of here, please continue to pray for our military. And drop a line in there for the veterans too. And listen, keep your eyes on the board because it moves fast. And I want to make sure you are keeping up with the plays. Yeah, but if you can't do that, just make Monye Media your best friend. I'll continue to do the heavy lifting for you. You just need to tune in. And I'll see you next week for another episode of The Rundown. Bye-bye.